my ex-husband he really was a good guy. He still is a good guy. And I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm looking for as far as like, it's just very different. I've lived life a certain way for a long time.
Welcome back, family. Men sacrifice their happiness for their family, but women sacrifice their family for their happiness. And we will see it today by giving you an update on this woman who divorced a very good man because she wasn't happy.
Yesterday, I posted a video about how I divorced my husband after being with him for 21 years. We were married for 8 years, and how he was the good guy. And it's getting quite a bit of attention. I expected that it would. I hate when people get on here and they're like, I didn't expect that to go viral. Now, it is getting way more attention than I expected it to get. But I knew it was the point of creating this account, if I'm being honest. I started my day yesterday with 79 followers, and I think I'm at like 2,600 as I'm creating this here. So let's just talk for a second, because I haven't been able to go through all the comments. But the resounding question is, what do I define as a good guy? And I'm gonna be very honest with you. Some of the stuff that I'm reading, a lot of women going through the same situation, okay? But what you all are describing and my definition of a good guy is not the same thing. Some of you. But my husband was a good guy. Like, he really was. I didn't divorce him because of anything other than I was not happy. I told him for years that he would be an excellent partner for someone, just not me. I just did not feel like we were a good fit for each other. And it was really hard to let go because we had been together for so long. And yes, one of the things I mentioned in that video was that he never told me that he loved me. And that was one of the things that I had accepted that eventually I grew to resent him for. That wasn't the reason why I left him. But it was, I've called mine and his relationship death by 1,000 cuts, because that's essentially what happened. And I plan to go into detail, but my definition of the good guy is not that he was a good guy to everybody else, and he was not a good guy to me. He was a good guy, and I take full responsibility for my part in why the relationship was the way that it was. I left because I wasn't happy. I had checked out of that relationship long before I even knew that I was unhappy. And, you know, I had a lot of people in my life, specifically my mother, who encouraged that I wait until my daughter graduated high school. Everybody had all these opinions, but nobody was in that marriage but me. I felt it was only fair that I left the minute that I realized I was unhappy. I created this account to help other women. I'm getting a lot of messages, and I'll get to the point where I'm able to really dedicate the time and attention to some of these specific questions. But my ex-husband he really was a good guy. He still is a good guy. He's just not the guy for me.
I want you to remember when she said that her ex-husband didn't tell her that he loved her. And I will expose the truth behind this whole situation. Women never tell the whole story once they know that they are at fault. But before diving deep into this interesting update, let's play the video she is referencing again to refresh your memories.
I made the extremely tough decision to leave my husband last year after being with him for 21 years. We were married for 8 years. And my ex-husband is not a bad guy, wonderful father. But there were some things that would send people into orbit when I would tell them things. Like, number one, and I'm not exaggerating, my ex-husband did not tell me that he loved me. That sends people into outer space when I tell them that. That was something that I accepted, we'll call it accepted, but now I see it as settling. I had accepted this about him, but what ended up happening is years and years and years of what I will consider emotional neglect, unintentionally. I began to resent him and there's a few videos that I want to make of things that I've learned, especially with us coming up on 1 year divorced, and what I learned about divorcing the good guy and what a villain that makes you, how hard it is on your kids. I just want this to reach someone going through the same thing or thinking about divorcing the good guy. And if you have questions, if you have concerns that you have for yourself or your kids, drop it in the comments. I'd love for somebody to ask me something because I feel like my story can help somebody. We're going to start.
Now, before I show you the update on how this woman's life has become even more miserable since she divorced her ex-husband, let's first expose the issue of her ex-husband not telling her he loves her. Also, keep in mind that she keeps on reminding us that her ex-husband is a really good guy, and there is a reason for that. This next clip will expose what really happened in this marriage over the years. Let's watch.
A couple days ago, I posted a video about how I divorced the good guy after being married for 8 years, but we were together for 21 years. And that's gotten quite the attention, 2 million views at this point. I have made some follow-up videos saying that I would eventually tell my story the way I want to tell it on my own terms, because that's what I came here for. I've been very apprehensive because the comment section is gnarly. And I know that the reason why I left is not the same story as a lot of people, and it is very selfish. The reason why I left was very selfish. And I'm ready for all the hate that's going to come, because I know from that comment section and from my inbox that there are so many women who are afraid to say the same thing. Let's start here. People fail to realize a man can be a good guy, a great father, but a horrible husband. The reason why I decided to pick this comment is because it's the #1 liked comment. That means a lot of people resonate with that. A lot of you are married to a good guy on the outside, but not a good guy on the inside. That was not the case. Nobody will be able to convince me on any video and any comment that my ex-husband is a bad guy. I share one tidbit of information that I considered emotional neglect and that I was settling, but I accepted about him, was that he couldn't tell me that he loved me. And that was not an exaggeration. A question that I get a lot is, did you tell him you loved him? I did, but I stopped doing that after a while. My ex-husband and I met when I was 16. We had our first child when I was 19. A lot transpired over that time. In the beginning, yes, he could tell me that he loved me. So much to unpack there, and I will go more into, what happened over the years, if that will help someone. But people are wondering, why did I leave? Why did I leave? I left because I wanted to. I left because I didn't want to be married anymore. I left because I didn't enjoy marriage. There were a lot of things wrong in that relationship, and I think that we had grown apart. I never felt like I could be myself. I never felt like I could be myself. If you go through my videos, you will see a transformation happen, and that transformation did not happen until I divorced my husband. I've never felt more like myself than I have in my entire life. I now know what love feels like. All the things that my husband did to show me that he loved me, I can do for myself. And that might be selfish. And I knew I was going to break my children's heart. And we have a lot to unpack here. But I left because I wanted to. Because essentially I was in a relationship with somebody that I really didn't even like. And I felt like he didn't like me. He was attached. 21 years is a long time. We had a lot of appearances to upkeep. There was no abuse happening. There was years and years of emotional neglect on his part and mine. We resented each other. I did him a favor. Let's start here.
She clearly said that in the beginning, he told her he loved her. Now let me explain to you what's happening here in Womanese. This guy and this girl met when they were 16. It was all lovey-dovey until they had a kid. But then she cheated on him, and after that, it was betrayal after betrayal. But her ex-husband chose to forgive her because they already had a child together. And this man endured all 21 years because we all know that once a woman cheats on you, she will keep on doing it for the rest of your life. She will never truly respect you, and her ex-husband knew that. But he lived with it because he chose to sacrifice his happiness to maintain his family structure. That is the real reason he stopped telling her that he loved her. And she accepted that because she knew that she was the source of this betrayal. But at the end of the day, she decided to leave because she wasn't happy. And that singularly destroyed the lives of 2 young children. So, fellas, that is the level of selfishness of modern women. Even after many bitter women tried to convince her that her ex-husband is actually not a good guy, she kept on insisting that he is a good guy because deep down, she knows very well that she is at fault. Just observe in this next clip how she doesn't want to say clearly what she did, because we will all know who she really is.
This was probably the most popular comment on the video that comes from this. Nothing wrong with this comment. It's actually a really good question. I'm wondering why you're calling him a good guy when he was unable to tell you he loved you. I wouldn't call him a good guy when he essentially neglected your emotional needs by never telling you. And if you haven't seen that video, basically I'm starting a series where I talk about divorcing the good guy. And I share one little piece of information that people are having trouble accepting that he's a good guy because he never told me that he loved me. My ex-husband and I were together since I was 16, so 21 years. We were only married for 8 years, and we had 4 kids, and he was essentially the good guy. And he was a good guy. Just because he didn't tell me that he loved me did not make him a bad person. I'll get into that at some point, but he was not abusive. Do I consider a lot of the things that went on in that relationship emotional neglect? Yes, but it was never intentional. I will always label my ex-husband as a good guy. I think he's going to be a wonderful partner for someone else. But I will go into detail later on during this series as to why he and I stayed together so long and why I left. So stay tuned.
Now let's move on to the update and see what this woman's life looks like nowadays. She really thought that her ex-husband would keep on acting normal even if she divorced him because he is a good guy. When her ex-husband realized that the real reason she divorced him was to go chase after Chad and Tyrone, he also decided to cut all ties. Check it out.
Things that I wish someone had told me about before I got divorced or during my divorce, a series. If you are new here, and a lot of you are because I just started this account and one of my videos has picked up some traction. So since everybody is very interested in the topic of divorcing the good guy, there's so many other things that come with divorce, even if it's not the good guy, even if it's the bad guy. The thing I want to talk about today is co-parenting, or a lack thereof. My ex-husband and I were together for 21 years. We were married for 8 years. I decided to leave last year, filed for divorce very quickly and suddenly. And it has been a whirlwind of a situation. And since about February, my ex-husband has wanted nothing to do with me. Like, quite literally told me he does not want me in his life anymore. But obviously that doesn't work. We have 4 kids. Granted, one of our children is an adult. And then we have a almost 15-year-old. But we do have a 6 and 7-year-old. I know. Imagine. The 6-7 that I hear all day long. So in February, my ex-husband because the divorce was final in December. He decided he did not want anything to do with me anymore. He did not want to. He kept calling it co-parenting, but I realize now the term is actually, I ran across this and I was so thankful that somebody actually told me about this, is what we've been doing since February is something called parallel parenting. And in my personal opinion, it feels much better than to have to pretend like you are, that like you like the other parent. And here's the thing. I chose to leave for no other reason than I was not happy. It wasn't because there was something major that happened, but the leaving itself absolutely devastated him. And once I started seeing someone, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. And so we do something now called parallel parenting. And basically what that means is we do not speak unless it is absolutely necessary, and it is very short. We do not interact during drop-off or pickup. As a matter of fact, I actually can go months without seeing him in person. I know that's not going to work for everybody, but it's probably best for a situation that's like high conflict. For the longest time, I thought he wasn't co-parenting with me. And now I actually realize that this is just how it's going to be for a while, maybe forever. Is it best for my children? I don't know. I don't know how they feel about it. I know the oldest two don't really care. The two little ones, one of them has expressed concern as to why we don't talk, but he understands as best he can. So, parallel parenting. I wish somebody had told me about that before I got divorced.
Even 2 years after leaving her marriage and putting her young children at a statistical disadvantage, she is still confused about life, and she doesn't even know what to do with herself anymore. The caption in this next video said that she is still a happier woman divorced. But we can clearly see from her body language that she is simply trying to put on a front for social media.
Something I don't hear a lot of people talk about in regards to uprooting your entire life, deciding to file for divorce after being in a relationship for 20 years and, blowing your whole life up, is that there is no precedented amount of time as to when you should feel normal again. Nothing feels normal. It is still so very hard for me to find my way, if that makes sense. When you have been in a long-term relationship, or you've been a wife and you've had kids and you've, lived with your family unit we were married for 8 years, but we did this on and off for 20 years. You have that normalcy. You have your day-to-day nuances. Everybody has their own schedule. You have a rhythm. You cook dinner at a certain time. I'm almost 2 years out from having my divorce and leaving my ex-husband. And I was just talking to my sister about this the other day. Nothing feels normal. I have yet to find a solid routine that feels good. That doesn't mean that I have any type of regret. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my life. It's just I still don't know what normal looks like for me. It's very interesting. I'm sitting here in this house that I moved into. I don't know if I've already said that. I moved into this house. I'm moving out of this house. I've actually moved out already into a different house. But 18 months ago, I moved into this house having no idea what was to come. And if I could give anybody any advice, because I felt like since I was the one that wanted to end the marriage, I should be the one to leave. And so I did. And I remember signing the lease on this place and thinking to myself, what did I do? What have I done? You just have to trust yourself. You just have to trust that everything will work out. But you will absolutely blow up everything that you've known for the last how many ever years or months. you will blow that up. And don't be upset or hurt or sad or confused when 2 years later you still don't have a sense of normalcy. And I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm looking for as far as like, it's just very different. I've lived life a certain way for a long time. It's not bad. It's just very different. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about that, about how nothing feels the same. You don't leave that life and then automatically go into a different routine that feels good. I don't know what I'm doing from day to day. I also don't have a traditional job. I own my own business. I'm a body piercer. I own a tattoo and piercing studio. So like, I also don't have a regular schedule, but I've also been doing that for 13 years. So that is part of my daily life. And still, my home life still just doesn't feel, there's no normalcy.
One thing I will give to this woman is that she stayed consistent in reminding us that she left because of her own selfish reasons. All the sacrifice and the humiliation her ex-husband endured to keep his family together were in vain because she decided that she wasn't happy anymore. Fellas, protect yourselves at all times against these types of women. And above all, don't forget to keep your head up, focus on your goals, and everything else will follow. I love you and I appreciate you for all your support. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and share to help push this content to more men in need.
Left my husband 5 months ago and I regret it. No, you're not supposed to say that. I know I'm supposed to be in my living my best life hoe era, whatever, but like, no. These last 5 months have broken my spirit. They have been the hardest of my life. These last 5 months have required so much work, so much discipline to get back to myself. But it's supposed to suck. I talked to my friend last night about this on the phone and he really put it in perspective for me. Said the year you get a divorce was going to suck regardless. I question my decisions constantly. No matter what choice I made, I would have been miserable regardless. Life is not supposed to be happy and perfect all the time. Most growth comes from the times when we are having to do the work, having to sit in our misery, having to sit in the quiet. And that is exactly what I'm doing. 31 and I feel like I'm 18 again trying to navigate the world. Because you know what I regret more than leaving my husband? It having to get to that point anyway. I regret marrying the wrong person in the first place and not listening to my intuition. From my mistakes. So that you can learn from me being a dumbass. Because I feel dumb all the time. Of course, it's normal to have regret. I regret so many things in my life, but I can't let it ruin my life either. Never learn from things going right. We learn from them going wrong, and I'm holding on to that. I regret that I had to get to that point. I didn't want it to, but it happened, and we move on.